Next up, we got the 10 changes Vince McMahon hates about the new WWE. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently Vince McMahon has been talking to people, just talking trash about the new WWE, about the things he do not like. Now, if you ask me personally, I'll say this. I don't care. I really don't care because he don't work there anymore. It's like the person who got fired from Walmart coming back in as a customer and telling the people who work there, like, hey, man, you got to have these cereals lined up in alphabetical order because when I used to work here, I used to have it firing the cereal out. It used to be convenient, seamless. It used to be an experience for a customer. You guys, I'm like, bro, who cares, bro? You don't work here no more. Why do we need your advice? But to be fair, with Vince McMahon, he has years and years of experience in working in this business. And most of our podcasts that we listen to that's wrestling related are from people who used to work or used to wrestle. So I guess you kind of got to give some weight to it. But, you know, honestly, for me. But anyway, before we get started, guys, please do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it.
10 things Vince McMahon would hate about the new WWE. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Ring sponsors. Now in modern day WWE, the ring mats are filled with sponsors. At WrestleMania 41, there were more logos than clear canvas in the ring, and this has led to fans believing that WWE have gone way too far with advertisements. The ring canvas was previously sacred in WWE, and it was Vince McMahon who strongly believed that sponsors being plastered on the ring canvas was a terrible idea. According to Kevin Nash on the Click This podcast, McMahon once turned down a lucrative sponsorship deal with Budweiser for pay-per-view events. McMahon was evidently protective of how the ring mat looked, and Michael Cole even stated that McMahon would have never allowed the WWE mat to look how it does currently. According to Cole, McMahon truly believed that the mat was sacred, and no amount of money could influence him to change his mind. Number 9.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. Sounds weird saying this about Vince McMahon at this point in time, but honestly, I respect that. I respect that. For him to look at the ring as a sacred place and not to have all these advertisements on it, I actually like that. But I don't know if I'm the only one who thought this, but when TKO took over and I knew they were involved in UFC, I was expecting the ring to have advertisements in it. So when it happened, I wasn't surprised. And I'm pretty much used to it because I watch, even though I don't do content about it, I watch a lot of UFC, I watch a lot of boxing. I used to watch tons of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they've all had logos in the ring for majority of the time. So seeing that in a ring in general, and because WWE kept saying they want to make it like a sports-like environment or sports-like feel, it didn't bother me as much. But I could understand, based off of the fact that people look at it as sacred or just people feel like it's a distraction. I understand why people do not like the idea of advertisement being there. I don't want to see anybody getting the, South to Heaven on top of a dude's wipe logo. I get it, but let's continue.
5-match PLEs. One of the most common trends of the Triple H era of WWE is the 5-match card format for PLEs. Since taking over, Triple H has predominantly booked most shows outside of SummerSlam and WrestleMania to have only 5 matches. This has led to vast criticism from fans, as a lot of key matches are left off the show completely, and a strong portion of the show is filled with commercials and filler segments. This is no doubt a TKO call, and it will be the TKO executives who are putting together brand deals for PLEs, and when the show is planned out, the brand deals will naturally take priority. Vince McMahon loved to vary his PLE match cards, with sometimes some B-level events pushing 8 matches. Of course, certain events such as WrestleMania could go on for way too long, but McMahon was never guilty of leaving huge matches off PLE match cards, and he's always known to stack them to make sure they seem worthwhile. Number 8, post-PLE.
Yeah, you know what? I can't put this on TKO. I can't. Because Triple H was doing this in NXT even during the Black and Gold era. We would get some takeovers that would have 7 matches, 6 matches, but for the most part, they were 5-match cards. So with him doing it there and doing it on the main roster, this has to be Triple H. Now, filling up the empty spots up with commercials and all this weird stuff, then yeah, that got to be TKO. But to me, honestly, I can remember watching WrestleMania 33. I know this is going further back than I probably need to, but that show felt like it was I like some matches there, but it felt like it was going on forever, dude. I feel like I was doing a double shift with overtime just watching WrestleMania. But to be fair, the tickets were cheaper. People who bought tickets to be there got more bang for the bucks. They got more matches involved in it. But then I think about how tired the crowd probably gets. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to 5-match cards, they're kind of easier to go to because you probably only in there for 3 hours. But for like WrestleMania, you're in there for 5, 6, 7 hours. Bro, you get burnt out after that. But I don't know. You guys let me know. Are you guys Do you guys like the 5-match card, or you guys want us to go back to like 7 or 8 matches on each PLE?
Press conferences. Whilst Vince McMahon experimented with post-event press conferences from time to time, they were always formatted in a certain way. They were always used to further storylines on the show and existed to get characters over. Unfortunately, this isn't the case in the TKO era. WWE holds a press conference for every major event, and they're often a confusing mess. Certain wrestlers appear completely in character, whilst other wrestlers completely break kayfabe. It's a complete amalgamation of kayfabe and reality, and it doesn't work in this kind of setting. If you want to present a sports-type press conference, then commit to the idea and make sure that everyone is on the same page. If McMahon saw wrestlers breaking kayfabe minutes after a key angle, he would lose his mind, and this is one of the things that fans continue to call out WWE for. One of the central parts of these press conferences is an appearance from Triple H. Without fail, every single time Triple H tells the media and fans how much money the event made, and how they broke the record books by delivering a lucrative gate. Fans simply don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear how much money the company is making, especially in an era where ticket prices are through the roof. It's a bizarre trend that McMahon instantly would put a stop to. Number 7.
You know, I wonder if the advertisers and some of the investors into the company, since it's a publicly traded company, they make them actually shout out those numbers to try to entice more advertisers or whatever. But anyway, I don't care about that stuff. But anyway, when it comes to this type of stuff and when it comes to press conferences, they are 100% right about this. The fact that you have some people who are still in character and some people who aren't. Like when The Rock said on SmackDown, he was like, I want Cody Soul. And then following that, we got Dwayne on the press conference. That was jarring. That was really, really weird. And then some people will stay in character. It's like, why not just stay in character or just not do the press conference at all? And it's weird to ask a wrestler, like, okay, what did you think about this match? And how do you think you can win? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like you're asking them something that they knew was going to happen. And then they kind of float in and out. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. They're right about this one.
Commentary. Vince McMahon loved to micromanage his commentary teams into an oblivion. Numerous commentators quit WWE over McMahon's managerial style, and he was prone to scream at them into their headset and give them direct verbal instructions that they needed to follow 100%. Triple H and TKO have erased this entirely. The WWE commentary teams are given freedom to call the show, and this has completely transformed the way commentary is delivered. Michael Cole has a new lease of life, and he's even spoken about how happy he is working with Triple H. Cole isn't just happy in his role, he's having the time of his life. For years, Cole was shackled by McMahon, but the chains are truly off in this new era. McMahon would loathe this style of commentary, and McMahon would probably have a nervous breakdown if he could see Cole standing up and yeeting every Monday night. Number 6, less live events. A TKO took one look at the WWE business model and decided that live events should be vastly reduced. TKO believed that running talent into the ground and making them wrestle multiple times a week had little benefit to anyone, and it wasn't bringing in the financial rewards people would expect. In 2025, live events are virtually a thing of the past. WWE runs just a handful of live events per calendar year, and they tend to focus on big money international tours. Whilst this is great for the talent, the ticket prices for these events, particularly the international shows, are just insanely high. With that being said, most of these shows are selling out, so TKO's business model is clearly working. Vince McMahon was a strong believer in his established live event model. He would insist that live events occur every single weekend, and this led to talent being burnt out and injuries becoming more common. Let's face it, McMahon was a workaholic, and he lived and breathed WWE, and he definitely wanted this mindset for his talent. You would hope that McMahon would take a look at the way WWE has been operating, especially in terms of live events, and realize that this is the way forward. However, if McMahon was still running WWE without TKO's involvement, then it's likely that archaic live event schedules would remain in place. Number 5.
Yeah, I mean, I liked when live events was around back in the day because I couldn't afford going to a regular show. So I would go to these live shows. They would be cheap tickets, cheap food, even at the arena. You see the food at these arenas go down by a lot when it's a live show as opposed to a regular SmackDown or Raw or especially a pay-per-view. So those were the only shows I can afford. And I'm just thinking about the people who can't afford how high things are nowadays. A live show would be beneficial. Even if they did it like a live show once a month. Like, I think that would have been cool. But the fact that they reduced it, obviously for financial reasons, but, you know, to preserve the health of the wrestlers, I think that's very, very important. And we've seen way too many people get injured in these live shows, like almost career-ending injuries. So maybe it is preserving them.
Production changes. Vince McMahon was very much stuck in his ways when it came to the WWE's production style. The WWE presentation always looked the same. They would use the same camera angles and everything would be formulaic in nature. This was mainly down to McMahon and Kevin Dunn, as these two names didn't believe that any change was needed, despite fans crying out for WWE to evolve the way the shows looked. It was common under Vince McMahon for one single angle or moment to have a dozen camera cuts, whereas the new era, continuous long shots are common, and WWE aren't afraid to try something new and unique. This was one of the main focuses of Triple H, and he's realized that the show needed to evolve, and with Raw being on Netflix, the old way of presenting the flagship show would have looked dated and obsolete. McMahon loved grand and scale when it came to certain elements of the WWE presentation. Whilst he was definitely moving away from things such as eccentric stages during his final few years in charge, he always knew the importance of making a show stand out in terms of staging and graphics. This sadly isn't the case anymore. Every single show outside of WrestleMania looks exactly the same, and WWE now even changes the staging around to accommodate more fans. The goal for WWE and TKO is strictly dollars and cents. Outside of shows such as WrestleMania, the way the show looks in terms of staging is virtually a non-factor. And TKO would probably remove the stage entirely and just use a lazy black curtain if it meant that they could cram in more fans into the arena.
Take it to the indie days.
Theme song.
No, you know what? I would say this, like the stage design, I get why they do that. And this is something that don't really bother me when I'm at the show. I'm not thinking like, oh my God, that stage is boring. I'm here to watch wrestling. I go to independent shows, all kind of stuff, and the stage design isn't the first thing on my mind. But watching it for a long time do make you miss how unique the stage design used to be back in the day. The SmackDown Fist, the Backlash, where they had the I don't know what you call them, like hooks swinging back and forth, or TLC with the ladder stacked everywhere, or back in the day, even like WWF In Your House when they had the cars in the front, like all those different unique stage designs. I really do miss those. I wish they could be a little bit more creative, at least for the big four PLEs, like for SummerSlam. Obviously they do it for WrestleMania, but for like SummerSlam and Survivor Series and the other one, I wish they would do more of an interesting stage design for those things, or like Clash at the Castle when they were in Scotland, right? They didn't do anything like castle related to make it look like they were in Scotland. I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to do that, or at least to give something to the international fans, because they barely get wrestling. Give them a new, fresh experience that they don't get to see on TV every single day. But you know what? I would agree with that.
A former WWE chairman, Vince McMahon, often took a hands-on approach with WWE theme songs. McMahon often cared deeply about the first impression, and if a theme song wasn't working, he knew it needed a change. There have been countless stories over the years of McMahon insisting that WWE got a specific theme song just right. Even when Jim Johnson stopped working with WWE, McMahon was still putting considerable effort into making sure the themes worked for each respective talent. Unfortunately, the current theme songs on WWE programming have resulted in scathing feedback from fans. Virtually all theme songs produced by Death Rebels sound exactly the same, and outside of licensed songs or songs produced for the main eventers, none of the songs manage to stand out.
Unless you're part of the bloodline, they always get bangers.
WWE and TKO don't seem to care about the theme songs, as there's no love or passion in any of the tracks. They just seem randomly assigned just so every wrestler has their own theme. It's sheer laziness, and there's zero excuse as to why the theme songs have shown little to no improvement despite years of fans complaining. Number 3. Banned words. Vince McMahon was prone to making his talent stick to set rules and regulations. This was definitely the case when it came to certain words. McMahon wouldn't allow his wrestlers or commentators to say certain words, and if they did utter these infamous words, then McMahon would often be enraged.
Like belt?
These banned words ranged from wrestling to belt, and most of the words stem from McMahon's bizarre ideology that distancing WWE from being a wrestling company was going to be appealing to more fans. When Triple H took over creative, these banned words would be removed entirely. Wrestling is mentioned multiple times in a single show, and the talent are no longer walking on eggshells when it comes to the words that come out of their mouths. Number 2. Breaking kayfabe. There's no doubt that even in the old era of WWE, Vince McMahon liked to break kayfabe from time to time. In fact, he basically ushered in the Attitude Era back in 1997 by a kayfabe-shattering promo that rocked the pro wrestling industry. However, in 2025, breaking kayfabe has never been more common in WWE, and it occurs virtually every week. WWE are obsessed with reminding fans that the show is a scripted presentation, and what they're seeing is totally fictional. This was seen on the Raw and the Netflix premiere, as the opening video package saw Triple H talk about work shoots and even baby faces and heels. Wrestlers such as The Rock break kayfabe minutes after the show, and it's a weird business direction that has left fans puzzled. This
Yeah.
obsession with reminding fans that the product is scripted has zero benefit. It's not increasing revenue in any way, it's not introducing new fans to the product. All it's doing is causing controversy and making established fans realize that maybe WWE and TKO are ashamed that they present a scripted product. And number 1,
I don't know. I don't think that hard about that. You know, like especially now with social media and the overexposure to wrestlers' personal lives, it's kind of hard to really stay in kayfabe and keep it believable. Like I did a reaction to a video of wrestlers who stayed in kayfabe, like the late great Bray Wyatt or like Cody Rhodes, which I respect people who are able to do that, especially nowadays with social media and everybody knows what's going on behind the curtain. I mean, they actually got a show coming out called what's the name of it? It's the Netflix thing that's going to tell us what's going on behind the scene. Oh, WWE Unreal, something like that. So it's going to kind of be hard to try to trick people into believing that, you know, it's not a scripted show. So I guess Triple H is more of like the open and honest approach, you know, which to me, I would rather him just kind of keep that in the tuck, because I think if he was that way, then I would reflect into those post press conference situations and things like that. But, you know, what can you do?
the higher power. A Triple H runs WWE Creative, but he still takes executive orders from names in TKO. The idea of Vince McMahon running WWE whilst taking orders from names in TKO is crazy to even think about. Especially in the final few years of McMahon in charge, a lot of his ideas were outlandish in nature, and the way he ran the product led to fans leaving the product behind and the talent being disgruntled and unhappy. TKO simply wouldn't have allowed McMahon to operate in this way, and McMahon would have had a meltdown if TKO was trying to control how he was operating in any way, shape or form. Earlier this year, The Rock revealed that Ari Emanuel, who acts as the director of TKO, phoned him and asked him to help boost ticket sales for Elimination Chamber. If McMahon found out that a director had gone directly to a board member, and a former WWE star at that, to ask for assistance in this capacity, he would have been livid. Ultimately, it would have taken a matter of months for the relationship between McMahon and TKO to fall apart. McMahon would have likely put on a brave face, but he would have been either forced out of his role or he would have had to walk away. Knowing what we know about McMahon, the latter seems extremely unlikely, and we still may have ended up with Triple H running WWE Creative just a little later than originally intended. But there you have it, folks. 10 things.
You know, it's very interesting. Two things that are very interesting to me is, for one, when Triple H first came up to the main roster to be a part of, you know, creative and things like that, a lot of people were happy about that. They were like, oh my God, what is this? Vince McMahon would never, like, they were happy. And then as time went on, people are like, what the heck is this? Man, Vince McMahon would never do nothing crazy like this. Like, like it just flipped. Like, people are singing Vince McMahon's praises right now at this point. But I will say it's very interesting to also think about the fact that when Vince was around, he was very anal in particular about, you know, things in creative. But it seemed like the people who worked from him suffered, from the people who are on the commentary team and him yelling in their headphones and cursing them out, to the wrestlers who have to work multiple shows in these live shows and increase their opportunities to get injured. And I get it. Back in the day, that's what they did all the time. But now with Triple H, it just seems like the creative side of it is more about the finances and the money, and he really scaled back about that. But it's more, you know, beneficial for like the people who work there, like the commentators and the wrestlers, unless you get cut and things like that. So it depends on what you like as far as in your wrestling. You know, it's interesting to know what people would think. But anyway, on that, let me know in the comment section. Would you rather live in the era of Vince McMahon or live in the era of Triple H? I would love to hear what you got to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Salute, peace. Have a great day.